So, the long-expected update of the probably most popular line of Klipsch reference Premier showed up. This is a large line, it has a bunch of different speakers, there are 3 central channels, not to mention all sorts of bookshelf speakers, subwoofers and Dolby Atmos modules. So you can listen to music and build a cinema on them, no prob. The changes are more evolutionary than revolutionary, just like in the reference baseline. But what has changed? Let's look at all of this from the perspective of the series flagship speakers, the RP-8000F II. The new RP-8000s are pretty impressive, really big loudspeakers. Those who like speakers to be visible and weighty will definitely like them. So, these are large, two-way speakers with a titanium tweeter housed in a proprietary Tractrix horn and 2 large copper-colored woofers. The cabinets inside are richly divided into sections by bracing that increases rigidity and separates the drivers from each other. From the outside they are covered with a vinyl, which will disappoint fans of natural materials, but I must say that this vinyl looks gorgeous. In addition, the manufacturer says that the coating is scratch resistant. Well, I don't know, but your cat clearly thinks differently about it. And you won't believe it, the range of finish colors in the line is twice larger than in reference base. You can choose between ebony and walnut. Do you think this is not enough? Talk to the owners of the reference base about it. But the front panel and magnetic grills, which make these bright attractive speakers as boring as possible, always remain uncontested black. Well, here is an idea for a startup. To make beautiful grills for Klipsch, because no one ever takes their grills out of the box. You can get rich, in theory. Another strange feature of all Klipsch floor standing speakers is the feet that give the speakers a slight reverse slope. They are casted from aluminum, very stylish and look interesting, plus they minimize contact by decoupling the speakers from the floor surface. However, they aren't adjustable, and if you have an uneven floor, you are likely to run into placement problems. And they definitely need the exact placement, believe me. And before we jump into the drivers, let's check up what they look like from the back. You won't have seams like in the reference base anymore, here we have a seamless finish. At the top there are terminals for connecting Dolby Atmos modules, then 2 large rectangular phase inverter ports. In the previous generation there was only a single port at the bottom. And a new panel with 6 terminals, a pair for Dolby Atmos module, which outputs are at the top, and 4 terminals for a 2-cable connection below. Now let's talk about what's on the front panel and especially about the drivers. On the top of the silicone composite hybrid Tractrix horn, which has now become noticeably larger, is a proprietary tweeter with a titanium dome and a transparent silicone face plug above it. The titanium dome is quite light and very stiff, most of the modes there are moved above 20 kHz and they are absolutely inaudible to the human ear. The dome has what is known as a linear travel suspension or LTS, and Klipsch is very fond of and proud of these drivers. They say LTS tweeters are a core component of some of the best speakers in the world. They don't specify which ones, perhaps they are talking about this, I have no idea. What we also know about these tweeters is that they have vented design that helps eliminate standing waves that create unwanted harmonics, and therefore the tweeter inside the case is not in a closed chamber, but in one that communicates with the overall cabinet. Outside, the tweeter is adorned with Tractrix horn. The horn itself, with its patented geometry, helps improve the performance of the tweeter by increasing dispersion, focusing high frequencies and helping bring the finest detail to listener. It's kind of a lens and one of the things that makes up Klipsch's signature sound. Just below the horn you can see 2 bright, large 8-inch woofers. These cones are made of proprietary ceраmetallic composite, copper-plated cermet. The dome is strong and resistant to fracturing. The material is less dense and less brittle than ceramics, but significantly more rigid than titanium or aluminum. and of course much more rigid than non-metal cones. In addition, it has damping performance no worse than that of ceramics. In general, these are light, rigid cones that are able to move quickly. Speakers with such large drivers are often quite demanding on amplification, but not Klipsch. If we look at the specs, we'll see that in addition to the frequency range from 35 to 25,000 Hz, they have an absolutely amazing sensitivity of 98 decibels and 8 ohms of impedance. Incredible lightness in numbers, promising you a wide range of different amplifier designs that can effortlessly energize these large speakers. And this makes this Klipsch model incredibly attractive to those who want to build a system with a tube amplifier. But we didn't waste time on trifles, taking Parasound HIN 6, an excellent solid-state integrated amp, delivering 160 watts per channel into 8 ohms. I live with Parasound amps myself, it's my personal choice, I'm very familiar with their sound and I like the way Parasound amps behave, especially in terms of current delivery. But in our case, these speakers aren't so tight, and basically it could turn out that they would go overboard with amplification, but no. The 8000s showed themselves very well in this combination, showing their character in all its glory. And these speakers really have their own signature for which people love and hate them so much. On the one hand, the signature of the reference Premier is brightness, a lot of energy, a high level of detail and accentuation of the frequency range edges. Is it bad or good? This is a question about whether the glass is half full or half empty. Some will say that these speakers don't pay enough attention to the middle frequencies, while others will argue that they sound more festive, exciting compared to anything else. It's a matter of your taste, of course. And having applied them to myself, I can say this. All in all, these speakers aren't extremely bright or somehow awry. Nothing like this. There are no fools in Klipsch, they have tuned their most popular line so that you get a fairly accurate sound, but with small yet important accents. Although, who am I kidding? These aren't for ones who need strict straight speakers. But everything is not so clear in reality. For example, the fat, sluggish trip-hop sound of the first Massive Attack album doesn't sound overdriven, you don't get that overpowering hum unless you put your speakers close to the wall. Still, there are two large holes that move a lot of air, so the speakers need space from the back. But when it comes to Massive Attack's bass-heavy sound, you'll feel the speakers pay a certain amount of attention to everything at the bottom of the frequency range. There's definitely more energy than I'm used to hearing on this record. But at the same time, there is a good level of transparency, which doesn't give you the feeling that the frequencies are turned up, they are just more energetic. That haze or muddy effect that occurs when you turn the tone knob isn't here. There is dynamics and good attack here, which I personally didn't expect in such volumes, and this was a pleasant discovery. At the same time, the strongest emphasis is on high frequencies. And it doesn't make more tinkling either, it doesn't make, let's say, the cymbals are louder than they should be, but your attention is definitely shifted in this direction, because you hear a lot of things here. As for the mids, I can say that the piercing vocals of the legendary Horace Andy on One Love, Five Man Army and Hymn of the Big Wheel remain close, it's not suppressed by the edges of the frequency range. It's still piercing, but yes, you feel that mostly it is supported by a lot of detail coming at you from the horn and by a slight rise in the upper mids. When it comes to technical heavy music, I suggest you to taste the album of Pennsylvania progressive death metal band Rivers of Nihil, whose music combines the transitions of everything. They often start slowly and extensively and then explode sharply and you'll be attacked by fast, technical guitars with accompaniment at an incredible number of beats per second. It's a real bipolar disorder. I don't envy their drummer, to be honest, he must be electrocuted to be able to thrash so fast. In any case, the 8000s behave very worthy on this music, they build large-scale scene, and they are fast and driving in energetic moments. At the same time, they know how to calm down at once, so that you instantly have a dead pause. This is very important in this kind of music. And then they can explode again with lightning speed, so that your inner child first twitches in fright and immediately screams with pleasure and delight. Wow! But that's not what makes the speakers really adorable. They are just amazingly sophisticated in stage drawing, and listening to something near jazzy on them, such as the latest album of trumpeter Theo Croker, is simply unreal. Croker is becoming bolder every year and at the same time more refined in his statements. One of the hits on this album is titled "Jazz is Dead", but this particular piece shows that modern jazz is definitely evolving. This stunning ethereal album is filled with a special mood and groove. It pulls you in with sudden borrowings from other genres, subtleties, and the amazing vocals of Ego LMA on song named Something can drive you crazy. RP-8000, due to their special character, boost the quality of listening to such music to a new level. And what makes me especially happy is that you can listen to them quietly. These are really cool speakers for quiet evening listening, retaining detail and imaging complexity at low sound pressure levels. As for what you pay for all of this, then you have to live with the feeling that the wood trim on their bodies is only an imitation, and you can hardly replace the legs with spikes. Otherwise, there are no more shortcomings than with any other speakers. But these speakers don't need a heavy-duty amplifier, they are quite friendly to devices with low power and tube amps. Knowing how great the reference bass speakers have done with tube amps, I have no doubt that these speakers love tubes just as much. Plus, I didn't notice that the reference Premiere were selective in music. Everything sounds bright and exciting on them. There are many good loudspeakers in this crowded segment, but not so many special ones that leave a mark after acquaintance. But these ones are obviously special, they will definitely not leave anyone indifferent. It may not be for everyone to embrace this boldness in their sound, but those who crave brilliance, detail and power will definitely get the speakers they always dreamt of.